level's wrong. Because you are way low.
Welcome back to Lime Rock Park up in Connecticut for the penultimate round of the Radical Cup North America Series. My name is Tom Drewer, and alongside me, I'm joined once again by Mike Anzaldi. Mike Anzaldi, of course, a Radical Cup racer himself, and turning in the helmet for the moment for the microphone. And Mike, pleasure to have you alongside.
Tom, thank you. As always, fun to be up here in the booth with you. If I can't be behind the wheel of a Radical, I would like to be behind a microphone. So good day for me.
Yeah, good day. Should be a good day for racing as well. The skies are sunny, as you can see, as we roll out on board with Luke Kendall rather. And we've got a number of live stream cameras presented by GPX. And so we're trundling out behind the safety car, and the tensions rise. What is it like, Mike, as you take the green flag? We've got 2 pace laps, but what's going through your mind as a racer?
Well, I will say finally, once you get the cars going, your mind starts to ease a little bit, Tom. But it's the few minutes that we didn't see right before this that for me as a driver is always the most anxiety producing, is just sitting in the car while it's going still. Now I think drivers are starting to feel comfortable and move their arms around a little bit, get these tires warmed up. I think they're ready to go.
Well, we can take you through the grid as we've got these wonderful drone shots. So from the back, it's the Pro 1340s, Mike D'Ambrose. Car 60 will start alongside Nico Balcazoon. Balcazoon taking his first win at Road Atlanta, and Mike D'Ambrose flying in for this one. A late start, unable to participate in practice.
Quite literally turned up on property with this car 60 minutes ago.
Right, from the 4th row of the grid, it's Josh Holtz, who didn't have a wonderful qualifying session, couldn't find the pace throughout the session, has some work to do from 8th position, and alongside him in 7th, it'll be Chris Hoon in the gold class. From the 3rd row of the grid, it's Valen Venkatesh, who'll start the number 19, the famous 19, made famous by Steve Cameron, and alongside him, it's Sam McDougall for Group A Racing. From the 2nd row of the grid, Jack Yang. It's Valor Racing side by side. Luke Kendall will start alongside him from the 3rd row of the grid. Luke, of course, 2nd in the Pro 1500 Championship. Robert Rossi leads the points in the Platinum class. He is our sole Platinum class driver. And alongside him, the pole man, surprisingly perhaps, Mike Anzaldi, Jonas Expo taking the pole in the Pro 1500 car quicker than the 425 brake horsepower SR10.
Tom, we've only seen it a couple of times. We saw it at Laguna Seca last year. Raiden Nickel behind the wheel of an SR3 1500. Faster, he beat out John Field in an SR10. We've seen it a couple of other times, but very, very rare where the SR10 doesn't win an overall race.
Well, I just saw Raiden Nickel on the golf cart trundling along the pit lane. He's supporting Balcazoon this weekend and Robert Rossi. And Raiden Nicole up here, not racing, but still supporting the paddock in capacity of coaching, and something he does a lot of these days.
And he looks like he just got out of the car at Road America, a test in a GT3 BMW that looked like a heck of a fun time for Raiden Nickel. He's on the property here at Lime Rock.
Well, speaking of on the property and on board, we're riding with Sam McDougall. We can see what Sam does from the 3rd row of the grid. Sam McDougall in that black and red car with the white stripe for Radical New York and Group A Racing. Sam not in typical machinery after a pretty significant accident at Road Atlanta. They are nose to tail and side by side, a very slow roll around for the pole sitter Jonas Expo, who now goes, and it's a good spread as Robert Rossi gets the jump as expected in the SR10, but the real battle is behind, and look at this, closing in on Jonas Expo's ahead into turn 1 is Luke Kendall, and Kendall trying to take a win. Could it be the day that Luke Kendall gets his debut win?
Just a little bit of a dust situation out of a turn 2 there. Kendall looking all over the back of Expo as they head in toward 4.
And this is going to be very tricky because up ahead, Robert Rossi leads the pack, but he's not particularly quick in that high horsepower car. Slow into the chicane for the first time, and you can see Expo in the 32 right tucked up behind the gearbox of the 611 until that starts to accelerate through. Now we're riding on board with young Nico Balkazoon as he starts to negotiate. And look at this already, Mike Damrosch with no laps on the track ahead of Balkazoon.
So these guys are going to have a battle on the Samposi straight there on board with Balkazoon looking at the back of D'Ambrose. D'Ambrose has no warm-up time, as Tom said. He just got here a few minutes ago. Balkazoon looks to the inside. Maybe
they're
he makes
side by
stick.
side. It's very close. Balkazoon really working hard at the wheel, and you can see how much the car's bucking underneath, and Balkazoon takes a position from Mike Dambrose.
Wow, what a absolute fantastic sequence there right off the bat. Rossi still with a nice lead.
But how about Dambrose? No testing, jumps in, and lap one is absolutely on it. In fact, ahead of the young gun, just 14 years of age, right up at the front of the field. Look at this. Again, it's Expo who's tucked up under the gearbox, effectively getting held up through these high-speed corners. The SR10 has a bobble, has a moment, but down the front straightaway again will extend the lead. And look at the slipstream. Expo's under pressure now from a Kendall, who does clamber on the back of that 54 machine as they go through Big Bend. That's turn 1 and 2 here at Lime Rock Park. And again, condensed up, a concertina effect, the Tiger Beetle car, under pressure from behind, trying to make do with the fact that he's getting held up by Robert Rossi through the tight stuff.
Yeah, and I think that once Rossi does let them go right for the moment, now you see Rossi is in sectors 2 and 3 right now. He's faster than the 1500 in that. But in the first sector, Jonas Expo is faster. Kendall is faster. So I think that if this actually becomes a situation, I think Rossi gets out of the way.
So interestingly enough, it's Sam McDougall who's got the quickest Sector 1 time so far. It's early on in this race. A 40-minute race, no time for a breather around Lime Rock Park. The front straightaway is very short as we ride on board now with Sam McDougall. Again, working hard at the tiller. That car has been, well, it's had a lot of understeer. We'll see if that's still the case. Not quite as much work on the wheel, although it has a massive moment mid-corner there. And Sam McDougall working hard. We could see similar motion behind the wheel in the wet at Road Atlanta. Sam McDougall looks to have a very loose motor car indeed.
Yeah, he's working really hard the last couple of weekends, and this is a really great race between Venkatesh, McDougall, Yang, and Kendall. The 4 cars there that are P2, 3, 4, and 5 in Pro 1500 are tight.
Everyone effectively getting bulked behind Robert Rossi. The 611 machine has been super quick. In fact, we saw just how spectacular Robert Rossi, the New Yorker, is at Road Atlanta. And indeed, now, here we go. Could this be the opportunity that Jonas Expo needs? He again tucks up underneath the gearbox, has a look, gets the door effectively shut mid-corner by Robert Rossi. And again, Robert Rossi will just extend the lead, the outright lead, of course. Expo still in the lead of Pro 1500, but Expo, this is going to be an absolute test for the championship leader. He's got to contend with his rivals behind while keeping it cool and calm. He doesn't need to get involved with Robert Rossi's motor race. The motor race for him is behind him. It's the cars of 54, Luke Kendall, Jack Yang in the 21, Sam McDougall in the 8, the 19 of Valen Venkatesh. That's the battle that Jonas Expo has to contend with.
Yeah, now they go through the first sector here. They just passed down the Samposi Straight. They're going through 1, 2, and they approach 3. This is where Rossi's a little bit slower than Expo, but he's going to enter the second sector here as they go into turn 4. That's where the SR10 has its legs.
And again, it looks like Kendall just closing in the back. Kendall showing some pace. Hasn't been able to quite match that Radical Northwest car, and Kendall again closes in under brakes. Expo will have to be careful. We're right on board now with the man feeling the pressure. Jonas Expo, he leads the points. He's done everything, almost everything right this championship. Got off to a slow start at Sebring.
Yeah, so Expo needs patience when dealing with Rossi, but he absolutely needs aggression when dealing with Kendall behind him. Right now, everything's okay. Rossi's far enough in front that I don't think Expo needs to worry about that. But as soon as he's right under the back of him, I suspect that's when Rossi may decide to get out of the way and keep his tires in good shape.
Well, that's going to be the other trick, isn't it? 3 40-minute races. It's hotter than expected.
Over each other now, Tom. Look at this.
Yeah, it's a really good battle. It shows this sort of tortoise and hare of the SR3 so quick through the corners as now Luke Kendall goes for a look on the inside, doesn't quite do it. But that's what Expo's got to watch out for. Kendall capitalizing, being opportunistic with what happens ahead, and Rossi just bulking, not on intentions. It's just the difference between the two cars. The turbocharged 4-cylinder Ford engine in the 611 machine motors down that straightaway. You can see the torque just continuing to pull a massive lead. But on the corners, the SR3 comes into its own, a beautifully balanced car, plenty of downforce to match. And again, Expo, if he could just get ahead of this blue and black car as he goes to the inside, they almost touch. He's going to have to be careful. He can't afford to throw away a points lead in this championship. Jonas Expo will now come under pressure, undoubtedly from Luke Kendall, who will just have seen that. But Kendall decides just to hold back on that lap.
And there goes Rossi now again. He's got a little bit of a straight here, a big high-speed right-hander, and then a longer straight onto the Sam Posey
What's
straight.
happened to Sam McDougall? Back in 9th position at the moment. It's fallen behind Nico Balkazoon, an issue for car 8, who was running as high as 4th earlier in this motor race.
Expo is so much better from the apex to the exit at 1 and 2 that it is, you can totally just stand on the side of the road and watch how those cars are different in the second part of the turn there. They're heading through turn 3 right now, and Expo again all over the back of that SR10. There comes Kendall.
The early entry rotation for Expo in turn 1 was unbelievable. In fact, I thought he was going to go around the SR10 in comparison, just pushing a little bit through the corner. Expo rotating the corner early, getting on the gas as the car 8 is into the pits, and there's damage, I think. Certainly dust on the back of the machine of Sam McDougall, and we're right on board now. Jonathan Scarillo running around the back of that car to work out what is wrong with the number 8.
Damaged rear diffuser on the left side. You're not seeing it from that onboard, but Jonathan is trying to rip off a piece of that rear diffuser to try to get...
So Sam McDougall gesturing inside the car, absolutely frustrated with himself or whatever happened. Meanwhile, Kendall goes for a move on the inside. What can Kendall do? The 54, extremely aggressive again, but just having to get out of it.
Wow, what an excellent... What is going on in the head of Kendall right now? So he's having a really good battle with Expo.
He hasn't had a win yet, has he? He would love to take his maiden win in the Radical Cup Championship. He has, as we mentioned in qualifying, has had to play bridesmaid. It has been a bit unlucky for Luke Kendall this year. He's shown tremendous amount of speed. He desperately wants a win. He's been ultra successful in Radical Cup Europe, as now Jack Yang comes into the fray as well.
I was going to say the same, Tom. Watch out for Yang.
And it just looks to me like Kendall has had a moment, perhaps consumed a little bit of those tires too much. Perhaps the heat in the Hancooks just running a little bit high. Kendall will have to remain clean for a couple of laps, get those in the window, as all of a sudden it looks to me like Jonas Expo's been released into the lead of the Pro 1500s. Jack Yang, meanwhile, all over his Valor Racing teammate.
Yeah, just watching up front, Rossi, he is still holding the lead overall in this race, and he seems pretty comfortable up there. But I would imagine that the top 3 guys overall are very stressed with what's going on. They are very close to each other. Back into the pits, number 8, Sam McDougall looks like he's out.
Yeah, now this is tricky because they've really got to keep circulating. The fastest lap times in this race are going to set the grid for race 2. Group A can't really afford to retire this car. They're going to have to try and repair it. McDougall so far has done a 53 flat. That's going to put him about 5th on the grid. I expect the times to continue to drop as the fuel load burns off. So disaster for Sam McDougall. You can see the Radical pit lane staff, the Radical Cup staff, just observing what the team is doing.
Tom, I'm pretty sure they just fired the motor. They turned the motor off on that number 8 car. So it's going to be an extended repair for McDougall. We'll keep an eye on him. The action is still furious out on the racetrack with those top 3, Rossi, Expo, Kendall.
So Expo now with a little bit of a breather, must be a slight sigh of relief. Not getting much reprieve from the constant cornering around here.
Yeah, and Expo has really taken a bit of the pressure off of Rossi at this point. So I think Rossi is probably comfortable with this pace for the moment. As soon as it just gets a little too greasy and squirrely for him, I again think that we'll see Rossi back off. But for the moment, this guy right here has got some serious pace.
It just seems as though through this championship, Jonas Expo's come of age. He's just found the little bit extra that everyone needs to find if they're going to be a race winner, a champion. And of course, success breeds so much confidence behind the wheel. All of a sudden, you feel like you're walking on air. You could do anything, and that just gives you the edge to be able to push that little bit extra. You can see how much speed he's carrying down into this final corner. And McDougall out of this race for good.
He's going to go park it. Bad for McDougall. That is a big situation for the middle part of that championship. Venkatesh right now trailing what looks to be Kendall and Yang for P4 in 1500s.
So just looking a bit further back, and we're now picking up. This is the 54 of Luke Kendall, Jack Yang, and the sister Valor racing car just behind. Kendall, again, not in his typical equipment either. A mishap at Road Atlanta in the wet. Chassis damage on that car. And Kendall in the T-car. And just watching the car 60 of Mike D'Ambrose coming down the front straightaway. Nico Balkazoon starting to work his way up through the field, 7th in classes a moment. And now the front runners are going to have to contend with back markers. So a short lap here at Lime Rock Park. This is going to throw a cat amongst the pigeons. This could be the opportunity that someone like Jack Yang needs to make a move on his teammate. I don't think there's any team orders at Valor Racing.
No way. And yeah, Jack Yang's absolutely looking racy to his typically faster teammate, but very close, lap to lap, these guys. But over the long haul, yeah.
And the one thing Jack Yang does have to his name is a win.
Yes, he does.
So Jack Yang, ultra quick at Road America, not the first time either. And Jack Yang knows how to end up on the top step of the podium. Luke Kendall wanting to respond with a win this season to what has been a stellar year so far from Jonas Expo. But there's been a number of drivers who have shown plenty of pace in Pro 1500. A little bit surprised that we haven't seen a little bit more out of Josh Holtz this weekend so far.
Yeah, Josh talked to him after his quali, and he was like, yeah, this is a tricky track. This is very difficult to try to get it figured out here. So, yeah, Josh is just trying to piece it together here session by session.
So Josh running under the Toyo Tires bridge down through the final corner at the moment. Again, you can see how much these guys are working at the wheel. A small breather on the front straightaway. Just time to collect your thoughts, gather things up, and barrel down into turn 1. Effectively becomes turn 2, Big Bend, as they call it here. And then the only major left-hander on the racetrack. Often your car is set up such that you compromise the left-hander. Can't do it too much though, and then trundle down. Now we tried to do the old school layout here last year, but the cars were getting air on the uphill. This time it's been the chicane from the start of the weekend. Can't clamber over those corners too much. There's big bollards on the inside of those curves. And then through these final 2 sweepers, gritting your teeth, trying to extract the maximum amount out. For anyone thinks that's an easy flat, they're majorly mistaken.
Yeah, and you know, Holtz is struggling right now. He's 15 seconds off of Balkasoon. And frankly, D'Ambrose is well off the pace at this point, and he is a good 38 seconds or so behind Balkasoon. That is a race, and that is a race for the championship.
Yeah, that's surprising, really, after we've seen D'Ambrose just having that stellar first lap on cold tyres. But all of a sudden, Balcazoon just getting back into the groove as Robert Rossi continues to circulate out in front of this field, carving his way up through the pack. The blue flags will be out, no doubt. Back markers are going to get a mirror full of blue SR10, the 611, the giant racing machine of Robert Rossi. He has been the star. In fact, Wayne Williams, Chip Roma, not here this weekend, effectively conceding the championship after what was a very wet Road Atlanta. They will no doubt be back at COTA when Radical Cup supports the World Endurance Championship for the grand finale in Austin, Texas.
They will be indeed, but as you mentioned, a massive development in this part of the championship is that Rossi is clean to go. Without any competition this weekend, he's going to get maximum points if he enters all the races, and that is going to make it out of reach for Williams once they get to COTA, and so that is going to be more of a bragging rights race.
Yeah, I dare say, though, it'll be on for young and old in front of the WEC crowd, and indeed a fantastic atmosphere at COTA. And Mike Anzaldi slows. So Mike Anzaldi slows. Now, was that just to release the race leader, or has he got an issue?
Yeah, so D'Ambrose off to the side, moves off to the side, lets the faster Rossi through. It looks like he's back on the throttle, D'Ambrose is.
So D'Ambrose just being courteous. He's going to have the front runners. And look at this, Kendall coming back on the 32. Down the front straightaway. Hopefully the drone will pick this up a little bit further behind the front runners, because we've got a true motor race on our hands for first place in 1500. And now D'Ambrose comes into this battle. Hopefully he'll get out the way. Kendall is charging hard. He almost had a run at the 32 down the front straightaway into turn one. We missed that action on the live stream, but Kendall comes alive with 22 minutes to go and has a fire up the inside. Doesn't quite do it, but he's certainly getting in the mirrors and giving Expo a bit of a hurry on.
Yeah, Expo doesn't fall for that stuff. I've seen Kendall do that before, just try to make himself big in the mirrors. It's a good idea. It's just that Expo's not biting.
Well, the problem is he lost so much time by doing that. Had to get on the binders. Extremely hard, compromise the exit of the chicane. And now Expo has a reprieve once again. A strange sounding noise from Jack Gang's car. I think the exhaust pipe has fallen off, or certainly dislodged from the 21 machine. So now Expo negotiates. You can see he's rather smooth on the wheel, is young Expo. Has a bit of a moment on the exit.
Yeah, and I think while he was looking ahead before him and dealing with Rossi, I think that's done for the moment anyways. Until Rossi, his tires reach a certain temperature where he's unable to put down the lap times, I think this is what we're going to be looking at. Jonas no longer has to worry about that SR10 for the moment. He's got to worry about Kendall, who's racy behind him.
But almost compared to, if you compare the amount of movement on the steering wheel compared to, Sam McDougall, Jonas looks pretty calm, cool, and collected behind the wheel.
And I think Jonas can communicate pretty well, too. He knows how to talk about the car to his engineers and to get the thing. Sam is a new driver and is still working out his communication with Group A and trying to tell them what he needs and what would make that car go faster. And so, Expo, you can absolutely see it with his onboards. Smooth like butter. No problem for this gentleman.
Breaking news, too. Jonas Expo looking to go to the Radical World Finals in Barcelona. It's only a couple of weeks after COTA. And Jonas Expo, that'll be a test now. What's happened here? Jonas Expo slows, so there was an issue for Expo. And Luke Kendall has gone into the lead of Pro 1500. And this is the thing about motor racing. All of a sudden, everything can go wrong when everything was going right. Jonas Expo slows momentarily.
He's still underway. And so now he sits overall in P4, right in front of Venkatesh. He's behind Yang.
Yang on the gearbox of his teammates. So Kendall, who would have been thinking, this is my chance, could I finally get my breakthrough win? Perhaps not. Jack Yang can smell a victory as well.
What
And
happened?
Yang with a fantastic run on Kendall. Looks to the outside as Kendall defends. Yang on the outside as they head into the chicane. They've got to be careful through this one. Someone's going to get compromised. Yang seems to get a good run out of the chicane and goes to the inside. Jack Yang with a fantastic move, setting it up into the chicane, does the business after it.
Wow, what a performance by Yang this time around. Incredible. He now has the lead.
So Jack Yang
Wow.
eclipses his teammate, and Luke Kendall can't take a break. It looked as though the 54 of young Luke Kendall might gain his first win in Radical Cup. Pro 1500, not to be.
Well, 19 minutes to sort this out. And Jack Yang, remember, has a compromised car. He's got new body work on the car. He's got a bunch of other items that they had to replace after a shunt this morning.
After qualifying, looking at that car in Parc Ferme, I think there was more race tape on that, certainly, than what was left on the reel. Let's put it that way. The left-hand side pod and the little skirt that runs along the bottom of the side pod was being held up by a tremendous amount of race tape. It looked more like something you'd see on the NASCAR truck weekend here at Lime Rock Park.
You know, sometimes getting the cars on track is not the prettiest thing in the world. Zip ties and tape will sometimes get you through a session, and that is certainly the case with Jack.
So I think that slightly odd sound is actually coming from Luke Kendall. So Luke Kendall, perhaps that is just affecting his performance a little bit. The exhaust pipe, it does sound down though, certainly a different note. And Jack Yang has certainly dropped Luke Kendall now. And so the two front runners in the points, Expo and Kendall, both having issues. It's a long motor race, though. This is almost like endurance racing around here at Lime Rock.
Also, Yang, and I don't mean to interrupt you here, Tom, but Yang has got a situation going on with his championship in terms of Romer.
Right.
He's not that far behind Matt Romer for
No, in
P3
fact, I
overall.
was really surprised. Obviously, Matt Romer running with his father, Chip, father and son, having a lot of fun together at Radical Cup races as we ride on board now with Jack Yang. And a little bit surprised to see that Romer didn't turn up.
Yeah, no Romers this time around, but would have loved to have seen Matt. Certainly a Chip.
And so these are
circuit
2 points leaders. That's Chris Hoon having a look at Jonas Expo. And Hoon, really having a look there. So they might not be running for class position, but there's no love lost. There's bragging rights to be had. And I think Chris Hoon would love to show that an old dog's certainly got plenty of tricks still up the sleeve.
What
but no
nice
doubt,
he's been
no
having.
doubt.
Yeah,
Look
there's
at that.
obviously
Again,
a problem. Yeah,
it's
obviously
out of the chicane. Out of the chicane, Expo having an issue.
Looks like Expo's going to try to. We haven't seen him attempt to pull in yet. He's going to stay out on track. We need him to stay.
He's starting to hone in on the back of Luke Kendall. Sorry, no, that's Venkatesh, honing in back on the back of Luke Kendall. So Venkatesh, third place at the moment. Solid run for him in the number 19.
And Jack is gapping Luke at the moment. That gap is getting bigger.
Yeah, Luke's car sounds rougher and rougher every time it comes past. I'm not sure if it's down on a cylinder. It's certainly down on note. So, we take a breath and pick up the action on board the 32 of Jonas Expo, who was absorbing a lot of pressure.
He's got no power. Look at his miles per hour. He's full throttle. Yeah. He's full throttle, and miles per hour are staying at 65.
Can't quite see if he's not resetting the car, is he? So it's not.
Now he's up to 90 miles an hour. What in the heck is going on? I wonder if he doesn't have a gear.
It stays in third gear, certainly on the telemetry that we're gaining from the GPX system. But it's definitely looks to be down on power.
He just got collected by D'Ambrose.
Yeah. So even down the front straightaway now, Jonas Expo just nursing this car. Expo's best time is a 40.8. A 52.9. So that will still put him rather well up the grid. It's actually Luke Kendall who looks to me like would be on the pole for Pro 1500. Robert Rossi's still quicker. So Expo won't be completely out of the
So
fight
again, he's
for
in
the next
second
one.
gear. We're watching him in second gear. He's really not increasing speed. What's going on with second gear?
It's so strange to me that he's seen this issue. We had 4 hours of testing yesterday.
Yeah. See, as soon as he shifts from second gear, he heads into third, he picks up speed. And so, back into the pits. Well, not back into the pits, but into the pits for the first time. Josh Holtz would have passed him on the Samposi straight right here. And so, no harm, no foul for Expo in terms of pulling this off. He was going to be at the back of the pack
I think
anyways.
the problem is now, are you doing more damage by circulating? I mean, at some point, you've got to consider the rest of the weekend. Now, the crews were just taking tape off the radiator. So, whether or not they believe that it was overheating, but certainly tape coming off the side radiators, Expo furiously punching the steering wheel. We can see from the onboard shot, from the GPX system and the AIM camera, the Radical Northwest Cameron Racing crew looking at the car.
These are frustrating moments to be a racing driver for sure when you're doing everything right.
But how crucial is every other point? You think of a championship, and Jonas, has done everything right as a driver. He's trying to take out a championship. 18 races, 6 different events, 6 different tracks, and now he's in absolute jeopardy of losing what has been a tremendous points haul and advantage over Luke Kendall. The only reprieve that Jonas Expo has is Jack Yang is in the lead of Pro 1500.
Yeah, and there is a big gap between Yang and Kendall at this point. Yang is absolutely gone, and Kendall, like you said, it sounds like his car. There is something going. He just, I just listened real close there last when we passed by the Samposi straight here, and something is off with Kendall's car. So interesting stuff in Pro 1500. Hoon in the lead in the gold class, and Balkasoon, the leader in P6 overall in 1340s. D'Ambrose will have something to say about that. That contest, by the way, 417 points for D'Ambrose, 340 points for Balkasoon. He's 77 points down, and a win here will go a long way into making the rest of the weekend and certainly COTA significant.
Now, of course, Mike D'Ambrose, not a pro driver, very much someone that enjoys his Radical Cup racing and should be at a wedding right now.
Yeah.
So that's really the challenge of trying to put together a full campaign and live life and make everyone else in the family and friend group happy. And sacrificing being with the family is trying just to get through a couple of races here to at least score some points to make sure that he goes into Circuit of the Americas with the best possible chance of taking home a championship.
And the reason that's significant is you can go to COTA and you could bin the car in practice and not get any points or something like that.
Absolutely.
Weird things happen in motor racing for sure.
The 5-cent part can fail.
Right.
So the Crown Concepts driver, Josh Holtz, pick him up as he goes through second to last corner. There is a bus stop chicane up there. We are not using it. I can assure you it's not the most fun thing in the world to drive around. I have been lucky enough to race this racetrack many years ago, and Lime Rock Park is certainly a challenge. But a great configuration, actually, I think Radical Cup's chosen, with having the chicane at the uphill but not using the bus stop. Still get that absolute old school sense of speed around the top end of the circuit without taking flight just through here.
I'll tell you what, though, last season, the first race, as all the Radicals went in toward the chicane at turn 5, Jack Yang, Reed Stewart, a couple of others, Austin Riley involved in a melee that delayed racing a little bit there, but not so much this season. Everybody's negotiating turn 5 fine.
That was just such a shame, wasn't it? Because it was that typical case of everyone on the opening lap having to brake more than usual. Big concertina moment. Everyone started to run out of room. And in the end, Jack Gang having to take some avoiding action and then collecting a couple of cars as he tried to negotiate his way through the mess.
Poor Reed Stewart was making his return to the Radical Cup at that weekend, and he was collected in the carnage, and just felt bad for my friend Reed. We haven't seen him back, but hopefully we will see him around the Radical Cup in the next few events.
Well, and of course, teammate and team owner Jonathan Scarillo also having an incident that weekend. Right. Scarillo jumping into effectively the home track, was very confident, in fact, showed tremendous speed. And then had a moment in the chicane too, ended up with a broken hand.
I think he hit the inside wall there. In fact, I think he was driving the car that is being fielded at this moment by McDougall.
That's right. So here we are. Here's a little bit of action as we head around the top of. You could just see the bus stop that we're not using.
Jack Kendall and Venkatesh. Yes.
So Venkatesh looking racy, and Venkatesh has impressed this year. Certainly been someone that's sort of quietly been doing the business and picking up a strong points haul for Cameron Racing Radical Northwest. In terms of the team's championship, that's probably going to be quite important, that Venkatesh has often been around the money. And, today, on a day where Jonas Expo has bowed out, Venkatesh is flying the flag for Steve Cameron.
Yeah, I would say Venkatesh has been doing a stellar job at pace for the entire season.
Picked up numerous podiums, and has sort of done it without too much fuss.
No dramas.
I feel like last year he was often driving just a little bit beyond perhaps his limit, sort of finding incidents, if you will, not necessarily always causing them, but just being a bit of a magnet for drama. And this year, just being able to knuckle down has really, has really done the number 19 justice.
Yeah, and that number 19 car is looking at the back of the 54 Kendall. And again, with Kendall not sounding 100% as that car heads down the straight.
Again, what is going through Kendall's head? Hasn't won a race this year, has looked like he would all year long, and all of a sudden goes into the lead for the briefest of moments before having his own issue, and now Venkatesh going around the outside.
Yeah, I'm afraid this was inevitable with the sound of Kendall's car, and so some questions that we will need to go down to pit lane after the race and sort out.
So now it's Chris Hoon who clambers under the gearbox and out into the fresh air as he slipstreams. Kendall, who comes back side by side through turn 1. What's Kendall trying to prove here? Mike Ansaldi. At the end of the day, he's in a stricken car. He just needs to. He's not even for position. This is out of class. And Luke Kendall hanging out around the outside. That could have been disaster. And at the end of the day, a lot of these drivers need to salvage the situation they're in. They just need to pick up the points. There's 6 minutes of racing left to go. You don't need to be a hero against an out-of-class car.
Absolutely not. You got Josh Holt still behind, and he can take points off of Kendall. Kendall needs that P3 in class with no other dramas. D'Ambrose into the pits. What's going on with the 60 car?
So 5 minutes remaining. Robert Rossi continues to circulate out front. Down the front straightaway, we can see going into turn 1 is, it's Valen Venkatesh. Then Chris Hoon. Then Luke Kendall. In an odd-sounding SR3. Fair to say, sounds more like a motorboat than it does a racing car at the moment.
I agree with you on that. Jack Yang in the lead for 1,500. His lap time at the moment is a 52.9. That puts him P3 for race number 2 on the grid. Currently, Kendall with the pole in Pro 1500 and Expo and P2.
So that might be some fireworks tomorrow morning.
Could be. Yeah. First couple of rows. Back on board Yang.
So Yang's camera not providing the cleanest of shots, but you can still make out a reasonable amount. And Jack Yang circulating in the lead. He's got a strong grip in the old steering wheel, does Jack Yang.
We'll make sure that we give Robert Rossi the credit he is due, and he is currently the fastest lap holder and has the pole position provisionally until tomorrow morning.
And we mentioned team points. Again, Jack Yang picking up maximum points if he continues on this path of leading Pro 1500. That will be important for Valor Racing. The team's recognised at the end of the year. In fact, Radical Cup will be having a fantastic banquet in Austin on Sunday night at the Proper Hotel.
And the man that you're looking at right there, Jack Yang, in the lead Pro 1500. He is 2 seconds behind Rossi for the overall lead of this race. What a day for Yang.
What a way to repay the favour in terms of, Yang in the first practice session this morning, fired off into the scenery, massive damage on the back of that 21 machine, missed the second practice session. The team literally taping the thing together to get out in qualifying. Did a solid job in qualifying, but has now capitalized on others' misfortune, but kept it clean, done the job, and as you say, has reeled in Robert Rossi in that Platinum Class car. And look at this, Jack Yang is really reeling in Robert Rossi.
Reeling him in, isn't he?
So Jack Yang, could he get an outright victory here at Lime Rock Park?
And
that would be a turn of story.
And does Rossi battle with Yang right now? I think, honestly, at this point, Rossi's like, you're not really battling anybody. I'm going to battle you.
Honestly, I think he will. I mean, you shouldn't, and there's no reason to.
Right.
But do you want to win outright? Do you want to take that checkered flag first? Yes, of course you do. Once a racing driver, always a racing driver. The red mist in the underneath the visor tends to cloud the mind more than the vision. So,
and I don't think that Jack will risk his P1 over a silly move, but I've seen stupider on the racetrack for sure.
Well, Jack Yang is having it now. Again, what's going through the radio? I can just imagine the radio between the crews and the drivers. Keep it calm. Just think about the championship. Think about your position, your P1 in class. Do not do anything stupid. Famous last words said by the crew chiefs.
Absolutely.
But Jack Yang just in his zone, and I mean, I think that's the other challenge that you face as a driver is you're going flat out. You've found your rhythm around a circuit like Lime Rock Park, where rhythm is ultra important. You have to hit your marks every single lap. You can't afford to make the smallest bobble have the smallest moment, and then all of a sudden you're dealing with a different car, and that rhythm goes out the window, and that's where a mistake could easily happen.
And now with racing drivers and just racing in general, the highest of highs and some pretty low lows. And I think that Jack is a good example of that today. He was gutted to put the car into the wall just outside turn 1. That was not a good moment this morning. But to get the car back on track for quali, to qualify well, and to lead this race, wow, what a day.
Well, the white flag is out. So Robert Rossi has one more tour. Would you believe these drivers will have made 45 laps around Lime Rock Park? Robert Rossi for Giant Racing. Mikey Eiler, crew chief on that car, has done a tremendous job with Robert Rossi over the last few months. Jack Yang, a driver on multiple continents for Radical Cup Racing. Jack Yang, one of numerous nationalities that are represented typically in the Radical Cup competition, follows the gearbox of that SR10 machine one last time as they come down the front straightaway. Robert Rossi takes yet another win in the Platinum class. Jack Yang takes another win in Pro 1500.
Wow.
And we wait now for Valen Venkatesh, who will come up to clinch yet another podium. And Valen Venkatesh comes across the line in the number 19 to take second place, in a Pro 1500. Chris Hoon in first, and third place salvaged by the 54 of Luke Kendall. Oh,
that's a big deal. That's a big deal for Kendall. Good work on his part to stay out there and just kind of keep your head down and work with what you have. Those were the points that were available.
Is still flying, and it's Nico Balkazoon in the 33, who takes another win. Mike D'Ambrose, from starting at the back of the grid, will take second place in Pro 1340. Josh Holtz in the thick of things too, fourth in class. Not a bad drive for Josh, certainly salvaging what has been a tough weekend here at Lime Rock Park. Jack Yang waving as he takes the in-lap to the marshals.
Love a driver that acknowledges the marshals who are out there in really warm weather, really hot ambient temps out here, and watching us race around. And Jack Yang with just waves to his team as he comes through pit lane. Congrats to that man.
Lovely sportsmanship down on the pit lane as well. All of the Crown Concepts team members out in pit lane, applauding all of the drivers, not just their own, as Jack Yang comes through into Parc Ferme and comes through the backside of the paddock. So that wraps up race one here at Lime Rock Park. Robert Rossi taking a win outright. Jack Yang taking the win in Pro 1500. Nico Balkazoon in Pro 1340. Chris Hoon in the gold class. And there's two more races, Mike Anzaldi, from Lime Rock tomorrow. The weather's been hot, and whilst we've had a smaller grid than usual, the racing has been rather warm itself. It's been fast and furious. I can't wait to see what we've got in store tomorrow.
A couple more races tomorrow, a very warm day, but can't wait to get back out to Lime Rock. So join us for races 2 and 3 tomorrow. Until then, so long.